Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. We miss seeing each and every one of you, and I pray that wherever you are, I hope that you're safe and that you're healthy. Please let us know if there's anything that we can do for you at the shul. We have an amazing team here that is working so hard to support our community really during these unprecedented times. And if you haven't already, please think about subscribing and reading our new Daily Torah Today email with all of the updates on what's going on at the shul and how we can stay connected. If you haven't received it, please feel free to reach out to me directly or to call the office. Friends, it is certainly a strange Shabbat, to say the least, not just for all of us here in Memphis, but really throughout the entire world, as synagogues have been shuttered, have been closed, as Jews are staying home for Shabbat, not davening together in shul. And yet we persevere. Baron Hirsch is so much more than just a building. It is this wonderful and amazing community. And while we won't be together for Shabbat, I did want to share just a brief thought with you from our Parsha. As you know, this week we're going to read a double Parsha, two Parshiot, Parshat Vayakhel and Pekudei. And there's a very famous midrash that describes an unbelievable story of the conclusion of the building of the Mishkan. As Moshe is in the midst of the final accounting of the Mishkan, he's tallying up all of the donations and expenses from the gold and the silver and the copper and the wood. Moshe realizes in this moment, it's unbelievable, he realized that his numbers actually don't add up. He's checking, but his bottom line budget was actually off by 1,575 shekels. Can you imagine the way that Moshe must have been feeling? He didn't have some fancy accounting team behind him. Everybody likely was going to accuse him of stealing from the people. Moshe's career as the leader of the Jewish people was over. He didn't know what to do. And amazingly, the Midrash tells us that at that moment, God showed him the Vavei Ha'amudim, the hooks, at the very top of the brackets that connected all of the pieces of the Mishkan together. And in that moment, God helped Moshe remember exactly where he had spent all that money. And you can imagine Moshe breathes a sigh of relief. And that moment, Moshe defiantly declares to all the people the expenses, allaying all of their fears. But what's bothered Chazal and the sages about this midrash is the very idea that Moshe could have possibly forgotten about these hooks. How could Moshe not remember how he spent 1,575 shekels? And so perhaps we can suggest that God is actually teaching Moshe a critical lesson in this moment. You see, it's not that Moshe forgot about the 1,575 shekels, but rather that Moshe thought that the hooks on which he spent that actual money, that they weren't that important. That, you see, Moshe just overlooks the hooks. He doesn't see them as having value because there's no beauty in them. There's just a function. And so God showed Moshe that these Vavei Ha'amudim, that these hooks, that these connectors, that they're actually crucial and critical because they represent something foundational to the Mikdash experience. The Mishkan and the Mikdash, as we know, it is the home of God. And it is that home which is based on these Vavei Ha'amudim, this spiritual home which is based on a foundation of connections not only to God and to Torah, but also to each other. And over these last week or so, we have seen just how valuable and just how amazing these connections with each other and with God can be. And despite how fractious the Jewish community can sometimes feel, or maybe actually be, our current reality has brought the world, and in particular the global Jewish community, together like never before. Our differences have become so insignificant as each of us are now pulling together to help and to support and to pray and to learn for each other. We all share the same Vav Ha'amud. We all share the same connection, the same destiny, the same history. And that is and always has been our greatest strength. And I have to tell you, it has brought me so much pride to watch these connections, these relationships unfold in our community right here in Memphis. The chesed, the phone calls, the text messages, the shopping trips that have all taken place. It is inspiring. It's moving. And while we might be physically apart, while we might feel alone, the truth is that we are more together than ever before. Yesterday, I heard a beautiful idea about a pasuk in Tehillim from chapter 21 from Perek Kaf Aleph. And the pasuk says, Eli, Eli, lama azavtani, which if we were to translate that literally, it means, my God, why have you forsaken me? And this pasuk, actually, if you can believe it, is attributed to Queen Esther, to Esther Hamalka. It's actually hard to believe that we were just celebrating Purim a little bit more than a week ago. It feels like forever ago, quite honestly. And Esther had a very dark moment, and in that dark moment, she turns to God and asks the most challenging question of, God, why have you forsaken me? Lama azavtani. But Rabbi Samson Hirsch has a different read on this pasuk. He suggests that we move around the vowels and we read it not as Eli, Eli, lama azavtani, but rather Eli, Eli, lima azavtani. My God, for what have you forsaken me? Not why, but rather for what? What Esther realizes is that every challenge, that every difficulty is in fact an opportunity to bring out something positive and something good. Lima, for what purpose, God, have you forsaken us? And now more than ever before, it is the time for each and every one of us to strengthen our emunah, to strengthen our bitachon, to strengthen our faith in God. We need to change the question and not ask why, but ask for what, God. And while to be honest, I don't have the answers per se, I do think that our response in strengthening and engaging in the pillars of Torah, of avoda, of gemilut chasadim, that is certainly a great place to start. And so, friends, let us continue to use these opportunities to connect with each other, to find new ways to learn Torah, to daven, to do chesed, and to create and to strengthen the deep connections, the vavei ha'amudim, that make our shul so much more than just a building. And so Orit and Shaya and Nava and Noam, they all join me in wishing you and your entire family a restful, a peaceful, and a beautiful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.